Well, good morning and welcome, everyone, to the Smite Challenger Circuit. We're going to be going into North America today. My name is Gormizer, and I'm going to be your Sherpa, I guess? I didn't think this far ahead. I should have thought more.
What do Sherpas do? They
Sherpas,
go up mountains.
They're like the ones that lead you through the mountain path so that you don't die. I'm Gore, that's Myth. And we're going to be talking a little bit about this North American SCC. We're going to be watching two specific teams out of it, the Winter Dogs and the Sturdy Artisans. Don't laugh at me, Mifflin.
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here, man. Either way, you can see here on the schedule Friday, of course, the Winter Dogs, Sturdy Artisans, as I just said. Sunday, you'll be able to catch the Sleekness Herculean Hoofs matchup. And then after SBL on Sunday, you'll also be able to see the Tiburones take on the Average Joes. Tomorrow, it'll be Pandemonium and Joystick Cherio's new team, so someone that I'm keeping my eye on. And then, of course, tomorrow, after SBL, it will be the Snake Hunters and Elysium taking each other on.
Dude, that's... Honestly, Europe's kind of stacked. The entirety of the SCC is stacked. I mean, it's a lot of ex-SPL talent, a lot of guys who are really capable of moving up to the SPL, as exemplified by Sino just hopping back up at a moment's notice this week. I mean, every time we watch the SCC, it's just so fun to see these guys because they have such a unique take on the meta right now.
Yeah, and it's fun to, again, see how they're able to pivot it with it. Sturdy Artisans 1-1. Winter Dogs 2-0, so Sturdy Artisans have the capabilities to tie things up, whereas the Winter Dogs could maybe completely dominate if they keep going forward. Of course, Winter Dogs, Mifflin, has been this team that, admittedly, you had mentioned ex-SBL talent, but also just a lot of capable players. I think both of these teams are a little bit stacked up, but Sturdy Artisans was the team in phase number 1. They're also the ones who have lost maybe the most people getting pulled out from their team. Yeah, like just constantly getting picked apart. And I guess, I mean, that's the glory, right? When you're number 1, that is the idea is, okay, you are the team that if we're going from the SBL, we need a sub, we need a player, whatever, we're going to pick you up. And so now they have been, I want to say, quote-unquote, limited down to Ionic, Pagon, Relentless One, Moswell, and Griff. But the thing I think is notable, Pagon, a mid laner we're used to seeing, should be playing out of the jungle today.
Is that so? Wow, that's so interesting. Pagon, yeah, has had a very good year inside of the mid. I mean, his Merlin has been so strong. He's been playing gods like Thoth as well. Raijin looks good for him. But that's a pretty distinct tonal shift from mid to jungle. You're not farming waves anymore. Jungle's a little bit weaker. I mean, in Season 8, I would say mid lane likely the strongest role in Smite right now. Jungle, maybe not so much the strongest role right now. So I'm going to be very excited to see how Pagon adapts. I have seen him a couple times.
Ionic's on Yanis here. How do I not remember this game?
Was that mid? You think he was playing support Yanis?
Well, Pagon's over there next to side. Granted,
these guys are weird.
I was going to say, look at that draft. There's no way for things. That's with Sino and Scream still on the team as well. So, of course, things are going to be a little weird for them. But, I feel like I'd remember that one.
Yeah, look, man, that's... Again, there's been a lot of roster shifts for that team. That's why the clips and the players are kind of mismatched there. I mean, Pagon in mid. We saw Ionic in mid. We saw Ionic. I think there was an Ionic Hunter clip in there as well. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it all out when we get into the game because they can't switch it up mid-match, right? No way.
Well, we have actually seen teams where it's like,
well, they can.
Like, hey, man, I'm losing too much farm. I'm getting soloed over here. Swap with me. And let's change lanes and things like that.
Okay.
Where I guess you aren't changing gods or anything like your quote unquote lane is, but that's about it. Maybe that'd be a fun match of the day where every now and then it just shifts you around. Anyway, you had said they make a lot of shifts. We'll have to see if that plagues them going into this set because Winter Dogs have found themselves a pretty steady beat so far. Benny Q over there in mid, the Wowie Gamma duo lane, Aquarius, of course, a notable solo laner for years on years on years. And naturally Kirmi in the jungle, who has been a good pickup and a good player for the last year and a half.
Yeah, I think that this Winter Dogs roster should be the favorite coming into this one just because they haven't had to make so many large, broad, sweeping changes in recent months, and they have had a good deal of success so far. I think a standout for me is likely Aquarius out of the solo lane because this guy can play the Warriors, he can play the Guardians, but occasionally is taking Assassins over there. Sometimes we just see him lock in the Tiamat, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, surely the mid lane, right? Tiamat's so strong, she wants that scaling. No, they take it into the solo lane. They put it in Aquarius' hands, and it makes it look incredibly strong, almost like a complete frontline dedicated build. and it just works.
And I believe it was last week we were playing or watching these teams. Gamma had an Odin game that was phenomenal, really good setup, but Aquarius, I think, played Sobek 2 games in a row, and 2 games in a row, Sobek just fed Wowie for funsies. Was great peel and really good synergy between this team. And I think that's really what you're going to run into here. Sturdy Artisans has nothing but great players on it, but they've all been playing the Cupid Shuffle over there, trying to figure out where they're trying to play. And so we'll see if this week they're going to be able to be as steady as they need to be to beat the Winter Dogs. Sturdy Artisans are going to be your first pick team. Now this is where things get a little more interesting. Tiamat, of course, Morgan Le Fay a little bit. Athena has been a very popular ban in NA SCC, so it won't be too surprising if she gets taken away. But that typically leaves some of these other big picks available. Odin is really the one that I think I've seen slip through the most.
Odin gets his way through the SEC P's and B's. Artemis has been largely thrown by the wayside. They don't really seem to care too much about that god. I'd say Gilgamesh gets through pretty often as well. These guys have a very distinct meta, and surprisingly, and when I talk about Aquarius' Tiamat, he gets it often. It's not like every now and then they're able to lock in the Tiamat and they just get away with it. I think it's very common for Tiamat to make her way through. Maybe a moot point now that she's been banned out immediately.
Of course, the first thing that happens is she gets taken out there, as well as the fact that Odin was banned out. The 2 people that we immediately wanted to start hammering on.
We still have the Artemis. She can still get through. Umoja?
You know what? Yeah, Artemis, Umoja. We still got Morgan Le Fay. We still got Gilgamesh. I almost said Garugamesh.
Garuga. What, is that anime?
I think isn't he the guy that eats the Smurfs? Or it's a ban.
Do I Google
it?
It?
Might be,
do I Google it on this
what?
Alienware?
It might be a Japanese band.
Garugamesh. It is a rock band. Are we allowed to say it? Yes, it's a Japanese rock band from 2003. Gore, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, bud? Anyway, P's and B's still underway here. Osiris and Artemis banned out by the Artisans.
I was alive in 2003. I listened to music.
I was 5.
I watched anime.
You watched a 2003 rock. All right. They're still active. They haven't been active for the last 5 years.
Okay, first off, Artemis got banned. But
nice.
The real follow-up, my favorite, at least in that, I want to say, era of Japanese rock would be The Pillows. They did, the soundtrack.
Why do you
for
have
Footy
that? How? Gore!
It's a 6-episode fantastic anime with a great soundtrack. You listen to the soundtrack, you learn about the band, you go and follow the band, and you listen to the music. I don't know. Why don't you know it?
You're encroaching on my brand. I'm the weeb guy. We got P's and P's to talk about. Gilgamesh got through,
You're
Gore.
way better at a more recent weeb than I am.
Okay,
that's what's really happening.
I'll tell you what happened in the most recent episode of Dragon Ball. You could tell me about Gilgamesh.
Wait, Dragon Ball? That's even older. There's been a Z
still
and
going.
Super.
Yeah,
oh, okay, yeah.
I refer to them all colloquially as Dragon Ball.
That's because of the tail. Anyway, the update. Odin, Osiris, Artemis banned out by the Sturdy Artisans.
Sick.
Tiamat, Camazotz, Umoja banned out by the Winter Dogs. Gilgamesh, Khepri locked in for the Artisans, looking for their 3rd as of right now. Whereas on the other side, Benny Q bringing in his notable and something that I think all of the highlights for Benny Q were on this Merlin. And likewise, all of the highlights we saw for Aquarius on this Sobek. They do strip Wowie's ROM away here, so Artisans have a pretty decent duo lane and a good jungler. But Mifflin, them's fighting words.
Yeah, I like both of these drafts a lot already. The Artisans have really shored up their front line. Khepri and Gilgamesh have a good deal of backline disruption on their own, but more likely Khepri can play that peel role and just kind of use that Scarab's Blessing as a safety net for their team. I see your face there, Gore. Cupid locked in very early on in the... No? What is it?
They banned Zhang Kui.
Well, Zhang Kui is busted, dude. Are you kidding? Has a ton of damage output, has great frontline potential, scales incredibly well, with the Blood-Soaked Shroud, has a ton of survivability. I'm a Zhang Kui apologist, even though it's like a 10% win rate?
Yeah, I think it's like 1 in 12 or something.
Yeah, and that one was sick. It was also out of the Soul Lane.
It was. That was fine. Okay, wasn't it?
Yep.
So, he gets banned. Hell gets banned alongside him. So a couple of mid-lane shots over there. Artisans ban out Serket, Fenrir, and the Erlong Shin, someone we got to see a lot of highlights, although I believe those highlights were on the other side for the Sturdy Artisans, so maybe stripping some of that capabilities away. Notably Athena, who has been maybe one of the most banned gods that we've seen in the SEC. Not picked up as of yet, and nobody's been looking at her. Could be a lock-in here for Winter Dogs, as they're still looking potentially for a support in the dual lane. They could also just go Sobek Cupid, and they could lock in. I mean, Erlong could technically be for Aquarius as well in the solo lane, so this is very, very wide. It's Ymir, though, so it is Aquarius, Sobek in my mind, Cupid, Ymir, which is a very deadly lane.
Yeah, this is a very high aggressive composition here from the Winter Dogs. I mean, as you already highlighted, the dual lane is very kill heavy. Erlang Shen is one of Kirmi's favorites. He was called for a little bit in the rank scene, an Erlang Shen one trick, but certainly has got a larger god pool now. He's been playing in the SCC for a little while, but can still fall back to the old tried and true, old reliable here inside of Erlang Shen. And I think there are good targets for the Winter Dogs to want to chase out. I mean, you've got high priority targets like Rom that are pretty easy for Erlang Shen to close gap onto. Even Baba Yaga struggles a little bit if she doesn't have a ton of peel coming her way, but the composition is built around a good deal of peel here. Thanks to Khepri, thanks to Gilgamesh and Guan Yu, just kind of acting as a buffer, making sure that these backline carries are comfortable.
And, you ban Hell, you anticipate getting rid of a little bit of healing. Like, Sobek has a little bit of self-sustain, like very, very little bit of self-sustain. Erlang has a little bit of self-sustain. Cupid has some team sustain, but Guan Yu and Khepri is kind of upsetting. Like, I want to say, I use this a lot. It's frustrating. You get in there, you're just like, damn, I just did all this damage, and that guy just rezzed him. That guy healed everybody back to full. You've got a Baba Yaga who's dealing a lot of damage. If you're not able to kill him in the first, like, kind of swath of kills or fight, then they might just be able to bounce back just from steadiness. That Sturdy Artisans. I guess, you know what? I should have said sturdiness. Messed up. That's my bad. Sturdiness.
Rewinds.
They're going to be able to win that fight just off of the sturdy nature.
Oh my god, that's
of
so
the
funny.
Team. Wow, how great is that? We'll see if they can do it here in game number 1. Because, of course, we have to keep our eyes, specifically for me, it's on Pagon. Everybody else has been in their roles and played this role. Moswell, a really accomplished mid laner, same thing, Griff, Ionic, and Relentless one on this team. Pagon has bounced around a lot, and this will be the true test, because Kiri will not give you a break in that jungle.
No, Kirmi is all about looking for solo invades. He's going to be walking to your back camps very consistently. Benny Q is going to have a lot of his own farm to clear out if Kirmi is successful in just invading whatever he wants. So I'm excited to see how this one plays out. Sturdy Artisans, though, I think, have a composition that can just wait it out a little bit longer. They can kind of bide their time, wait for that mid to late game team fight phase, whereas the Winter Dogs, with all this aggression and with Erlang Shen on your team, you kind of want to hit that gas pedal early on. It's on them to set the pace, especially around their jungler.
And they're so far, well, everything's standard. I was going to say maybe getting aggressive, maybe doing something, but well, they're just walking into the lane, Mifflin. They haven't done too much of the items. Not really out of order either. I mean, overall, maybe the one that stands out, Vampiric Shroud, but that's on a Sobek solo, so it's something that's a little more natural. Gamma, as well as Wowie, able to get some damage into Ionic. He's going to go for the pluck onto Gamma. Gamma's about half health here. This could actually be a good first blood, but it's Ionic who's falling low. One more hit. No! Griff is going to be able to find it first. Wowie returns the kill. Now Wowie's a little bit low, but there's no big fight. Not enough mana for Griff to continue getting aggressive.
Yeah, DPS base race there to make sure whichever team gets first blood, and this time around it is the Sturdy Artisans getting benefit of that, but 1-for-1 trade. Bounty goes one way, and Wowie levels up that dash at level 2. Generally, we like to see the hearts come out just for that additional sustain, for that mana sustain as well, but that pressure that Griff's been putting on him forces that dash level.
I'm sure after that dash, he was thinking, man, I wish I had something like specifically some hearts maybe to heal me up and keep things going the way we need it to. This Kirmi is hovering around in aggressive nature. It was not just the duo lane. Mid was throwing a ton of damage out at each other. Didn't get quite as low and weren't quite as deadly. But that showcases, I think, the strengths of a Khepri. Like, Ymir, good walls, good freeze, can set everything up, but you're level 1. You only have one of those two, and honestly, if you have either of those at level 1, you're probably messing things up. You should have your carpet. Whereas Khepri, you get that pluck, and you can see, just to keep Gamma in position, that was already a lot. Yeah. So, I mean, a 1-for-1 trade on supports, I guess First Blood's really the big trade-out.
Yeah, maybe it's also the relics that get used out there as well. I mean, we got to see the Frenzy popped by Gamma very early on, attempting to get the wave clears that they would hit level 2 first on the Winter Dogs, but not the case. Just one more minion, rather, not Winion. We're not on the Titan just yet. Gets cleared up by Griff thanks to those astral arrows, just being able to hit the entire wave. Kind of expedites that process ever so slightly and pushes favor towards the Sturdy Artisans, but for now it's a slower pace. But this is what we were worried about. Gore Kirmi already looking for the invade.
I mean, he's going to be able to get aggressive, get a purple buff and some experience for them, but that's about it. I mean, ultimately I was hoping for a little more bang for your buck. He's not quite level 5, actually not even near it. Level 3 as of right now, so that taunt not yet available. Nobody able to tick up until Benny Q. Of course, the most, I would argue, useless level 5, quote-unquote, in the game, because I mean, it's helpful, ultimately, but not the ultimate that you're looking for in these fights. Relentless One also ticking up as Pagon maybe caught out here. Depends on whether or not they can find a pluck. Aquarius, after that leap, isn't going to follow through. And after what I thought was an incredibly explosive first blood and engagement in the duo lane, nothing.
Slower pace.
They slowed it down.
Yeah,
oh, well, I say that, and they immediately get a pluck on the Relentless One, forcing the ult out of him. That CC immunity and that horse is going to help him disengage.
Easy enough. Meanwhile, on the other side, though, Griff finds himself in a little bit of trouble, and it's Wowie getting aggressive.
I mean, Griff, about half health. There's the Fields of Love, hits that ult first, but the beads are going to help immune the slow. He's going to get out of there. Ionic takes a little bit more poke than he would like because of that. But either way, they stay alive, and they're happy.
Yeah, and now it's the Fields of Love are down, so you can utilize some more aggression from the Sturdy Artisans, who should be able to sustain up relatively well, thanks to the Griff's potions ticking away, as well as that Cal giving you a little bit of lifesteal. So I expect we see almost a distinct shift inside of this dual lane for at least the next 30 or 40 seconds, where it's really the Sturdy Artisans pushing the issue.
Pagon right now trying to push that issue. Kiermi doesn't have that level 5, but he's getting more damage done. But it's the Baba Yaga ult from Moswall that is going to secure the third kill of the game. Just track and fire, makes sure that everyone is locked down, eats the ult from both the jungler and the mid laner.
The second Kiermi used that transformation to get aggressive, Moswall says, oh, word? You don't have your mobility anymore. Let me hop into the house, toss some fires your way. And, well, Kiermi at level 4 doesn't really survive that too easily. And
he goes, okay.
Nice!
Nice.
I wish I had more damage so that Pagon would have died, but not the case this time around. And Kiermi now falling behind about a level, maybe about half a level on his opposition. But with that happening, as it did, BennyQ actually solos 2 waves, whereas Moswall has to split 2 of his waves, so maybe slight XP disparity in favor of BennyQ in mid.
And honestly, even though I, kind of joke at Merlin's expense, meme his ult, Merlin's got a lot of shred, and so having even a little bit of a lead could lead to some good fights, especially on the back of a nice taunt from Kiermi. We haven't gotten to see one yet. He just ticked over to level 5. And is currently running off towards the speed buff, so it's not like we're going to be seeing it in the next few minutes anywhere, or at least next few seconds anyway. And we finally have the supports joining the mid lane. Khepri and Ymir have made their way over there. But we haven't seen Gamma, and I'll even say this from last week, his early game hasn't necessarily been the moments in my brain that I'm like, yeah, Gamma's getting them. It's like okay, now you're like hitting level 12, like your late mid and then your late game are really where I start to see Gamma make a lot of those differences. I wonder if Pagon... Well, you know what? This is a Sobek. No one's going to make a difference over here. He's a Guardian. He's fine.
He's got CC immunity, the
Me!
ultimate.
Ooh, there's a jungler nearby.
No,
Maybe there will be a kill.
No, not this time. Not an Aquarius. But to speak to your point, I completely agree, man. Gamma has had a much slower start in the early games, but his mid and late game is incredibly strong, barring that one performance we saw in Terra, where he's able to find multi-man lockdowns of the walls inside lane. That was actually very impressive from Gamma. But besides that, in the early game, generally, he seems to be getting aggressed on more often than not. And he's just kind of biding his time, waiting for the rest of his team. But on a god like Ymir in a composition like this for the Winter Dogs, you want to see them succeeding in the early. And so far, it's been the Artisans setting the pace.
Well, he's going to get the freeze, the wall, the carpet locking down Moswall. Moswall goes into the house to get a little bit of that shielding. A great ult from Ionic. Rezzes Moswall and keeps him going. Kiermi misses the taunt as well. The follow-up isn't going to be good enough. Kiermi tanks a couple of tower shots, and that's a jump in from Pagon. Pagon is going to secure the kill, get out alive, turn it on its head, and the Sturdy Artisans walk out ahead.
Man, that's the tilter. We were talking about the frustration factor of this Sturdy Artisans draft. You do so much work. Gamma finds the wall perfectly, CCs the jump from Moswall, removes the mobility, and after all that work, after all that body blocking, just loses the kill.
Well, the red buff stripped away. BennyQ, I think, trying to walk up, pick it up as well, but he's going to get grabbed. Forces the beads there. So Ionic making BennyQ a little less safe. The jump in once again from Pagon is going to be the one that gets the kill. And he's incredibly low at this point. Gamma, no mana. Wowie just trying to stay alive, but no Fields of Love for the peel. So Wowie is going to be able to walk away. Same thing for Gamma. Sturdy Artisans get a couple kills.
They do, and that's off of the Winter Dogs trying to get aggressive yet again. A red buff invade attempt goes their way. I mean, they get the buff, but at what cost? BennyQ circles back around trying to pick up the buff, loses out on his beads, and then promptly after that his life as well. It feels like the Winter Dogs realize that they really want to be setting the pace. They really want to put pressure onto the Sturdy Artisans in the early game, so they attempt to do so. but maybe not choosing their spots too well, not choosing their opportunities too well either. And the Sturdy Artisans are a veteran team. I mean, Moswell's been playing competitive for, I want to say, going on 6 years now. Relentless One's been hovering around this SCC level for a very long time as well. Eonic, I mean, I don't need to break down Eonic's career. I mean, he is in the tapestry of Smite Esports.
Yes, he is.
If you make common mistakes, early mistakes like this Sturdy Artisans team will punish it.
Well, there's a good wall from Gamma. Unfortunately met with a leap on the other side, so it doesn't necessarily result in anything. And like you said, this is showcasing the Sturdy Artisans' capabilities early on. But it's that translation. Winter Dogs last week, I think in maybe both of their games, at least one of their games, had fallen behind and were able to fight back into a good engagement. And a lot of it on the back of Aquarius when he joins these fights. This Sobek, as weird as it is, Sobek solo, it's not a, oh man, end all be all, he's going to carry the team, but he's going to do his best to get you to carry. He is going to set Wowie up as well as the rest of the team for more damage. The Greater Scorpion ends up going down in favor of Winter Dogs. Pagon, though, looking to get aggressive alongside Eonic. Gamma caught, outrooted, pulled back. The damage is just good enough. Going to be able to force the Shards of Ice. Moswell gets the kill, and they tack on number 5.
That actually freaked me out, Gore. Pagon just went in 1 versus 3. He was alone for like 6 seconds. Generally, when you leap in like that and you don't really have your beads available, you get turned on pretty quickly. Had Gamma just turned around and froze, Benny Q is there, Wowie's there. Feel like you just kind of blow them up, right? But instead, the Winter Dogs kind of scatter to the wind, allow the Sturdy Artisans to regroup around Pagon inside the jungle, and immediately turn that fight around onto Gamma.
Not only that, but Pagon didn't have beads, so a freeze would have been double
Would've been
efficient. You either get the beads or you get the kill. Could have been helpful, but it doesn't go that way. Blue buff stripped away from Aquarius there, so Sturdy Artisans starting to really put the pressure on the rest of the map. Gold Fury started up by the Sturdy Artisans.
Fast.
And yeah, just eviscerated. That is a little bit of the Merlin special, but I feel like the entire team put some effort into that one. And they get themselves a Gold Fury, and when you're looking at the gold lead, Mifflin, that helps equalize this game a little bit. I mean, it's still a little in favor of the other side, the Sturdy Artisans, but 1 Gold Fury away, and suddenly we're back to even.
Bro, that was like 3 seconds. That was 3 seconds of Erlang Shen and Merlin damage. And they just decimated this Gold Fury immediately with the backing of Frenzy, so that could help out a fair deal. But Sturdy Artisan's going to have to play very aware now. They realize that, given any opportunity, the Winter Dogs are going to blow up these objectives incredibly fast. And with the timers decent as they are, Pyromancer already spawned, I think the Winter Dogs might as well just head on over and do that one too.
Well, Pagon, again, maybe too far aggressive, has Griff as backup for this one. They're not going to be able to find anything. Wowie gets back onto the tower. Gamma's hanging out over here on the left-hand side. Kirmi as well lurking in the jungle. And it's weird to see such a commit. 4 people on the Chaos side hanging in the left-hand side of the map because that, like you said, Pyromancer's available on the other side. But ultimately, Mifflin, nobody gets anything. They're just falling back. They're trying to secure their own buffs and steady the ship. And that's really the conversation, I think, right now. You look at the gold, again, bouncing back and forth between even. This Pyromancer, as much as they can have some weight in the middle of a match, I feel like it might have more right now just because it finally can cement a lead.
Yeah, Winter Dogs just blow these things up so quickly, and the Sturdy Artisans having gotten the better end of every team fight so far. You'd think that the Winter Dogs might be looking to go for a more pacifist run, if you would. Just go for the PvE on the map. That said, with it finally being even yet again, Sturdy Artisans have been benefiting from a slight lead for the entirety of this match up until that Gold Fury. Maybe the Winter Dogs look to revitalize that aggression that we were seeing earlier on. But instead, it's the Sturdy Artisans stripping away the blue buff and walking away like bandits in the night. Aquarius, none the wiser.
Relentless One surrounded at this point, going to get plucked at some point. Dashes forward into the waiting arms of Gamma. A good pluck maybe pulls him out of some of the damage, and there's going to be the ult from Relentless One. Good wall from Gamma to force the retreat to follow a different path. But not enough follow-up damage to find a kill here. So a lot of abilities used, mainly the ult burned on Relentless One. Maybe opening up some opportunities for the Winter Dogs here in a second.
Could be. That is a huge team fight loss for the Sturdy Artisans, and the Pyromancer still being available could be an opportunity to look towards that. But that's one of the downsides of Sobek solo. You got a good amount of CC, you got some lockdown. you don't really have a lot of damage coming from him, at least at this part of the game. So Relentless One just kind of hovers around between the towers, realizing that there's not a whole lot of threat coming his way, especially considering how close Eonic was inside of the jungle. Scarab's Blessing turns that fight on its head, or at least gets him out of there alive. Instead of the Winter Dogs going for the objective, it's actually the Sturdy Artisans themselves, and Aquarius has got his work cut out for him.
I was going to say, that burn isn't nearly as fast. Sturdy Artisans are able to get it, but that was narrow. Winter Dogs, at least Aquarius, showing face over there. Meditation picked up by this Guan Yu, so if you wanted healing, they now have even more of it, Mifflin, and I'm looking over on the right-hand side. So far, no anti-heal to help deal with it.
Yeah, that pulse heal as well as the mana regen's actually pretty strong. I think Meditation's a little bit slept on in the meta right now. It affords your team a ton of additional sustain, and with the out-of-combat healing nerf that came in Season 8, any bit of additional sustain for a god like Guan Yu is going to be very valuable to the rest of the team. So I think that it is generally something that you're not going to see too often because it's pretty hard to utilize. It's not that burst heal that it used to be or that burst mana. Instead, it pulses out from the god that uses it, which means you have to really hover around for a while. It's kind of similar to how those little yarn balls work in Assault, if you guys ever play that game mode.
Yeah.
It's essentially that, but on a relic. And it's not awful, but it takes a long time for it to get its full value.
So what if, and this is a wild question to ask here, but what if most relics had like a relic pool? Like there was only 3 beads available for your team in a game, and so you couldn't do what they've done on the side of Sturdy Artisans where all 5 of you get it, and then you have to start deciding, okay, well, who gets this pair? Like there's only 2 beads, 2 Aegises or something, and you have to decide who gets this, who gets the blink, like all that kind of stuff. It could be
Gore, can I be candid?
Huh?
Can I be candid?
Yeah.
That would suck.
Oh.
I don't want to have to argue with my teammates
unfun.
to pick up beads when there's a Fenrir on the other team.
You're right. In competitive, it might be fun. In actuality, that would be awful, and I don't want to experience
Whoever
it.
loads in fastest doesn't get Ragnaroked this game.
Beats. Yeah, you're right. They do that. You know what? I see the error of my way here. Maybe something. No, never mind. Never something to see in competitive if you can't see it in the base game. Speaking of, well, I guess base game? I don't know. The zone from Winter Dogs, that's the pivot I wanted to make, is so far so good. So they're looking at the Primal Fury. Pagon starting this fight at half health, no matter what, unless they can get Relentless One over to the other side. And they are going to be grouping up. That healing's going to come through. Kiermi gets aggressive, goes for the taunt onto Griff. Peds going to be burned by the Hunter, and up into the sky he goes. The Snipes looking to rain through a couple of shots, connecting onto Kiermi in the back, but he's not dead yet. The turtle form gets him out of there, gets enough of a shield to make sure he stays alive. Relentless One takes a little bit of poke. Pagon incredibly low, but still looking to potentially jump in onto Wowie, who gets rooted down, takes a good chunk of damage. Moswall,
oh no,
Pagon
Gamma.
the combo, Gamma isolated. They kill the support, and they're going to throw out a couple of those firebolts just to get the zone. Aquarius gets a good pluck, but there's no follow-up, and now Aquarius is the one who's left alone. Wowie comes around the side, no fields of love, no way to peel for your teammate. Aquarius goes down, the kills read 7-1, and Sturdy Artisans are starting to run away.
And they can start healing up as well. Relentless One is just going to continually make sure the team is topped off. Winter Dogs, though, with 3 members, are not willing to let this one go.
Oh, Benny Q's half health. Relentless One goes in with the stun. Griff with the Odysseus bow. Brock is able to find the kill. Moswall cleans up Wowie. Kiermi, last man standing for his team in this engagement. If he waits long enough, might be able to go for a steal or a long pin. Is going to be available. The taunt almost back up. Gamma's back in mid lane, but it looks like they might let this one fall off and let the Sturdy Artisans run away with it. 9-1 now, after they pick up 2 more kills for the Sturdy Artisans.
And just about 3,000 gold as well. But keep your eyes on Kiermi. Maybe he goes for a little bit of a cheeky invade here. Just the back camps for now instead of the speed buff. Would have been interesting to see him go for that. It's called a Shing invade. We lost the fight, we lost the objective, but I'm the jungler, I'm still alive, I'm going to go steal your speed buff. Kiermi doesn't do it this time around. Instead, resets himself back to neutral. And inside of this match so far, it has been team fight diff. I mean, the Sturdy Artisans just feel so much more concise in their shot calling. They're really selecting their targets incredibly well. The rotations have been great out of the soul lane. Every single time Relentless One is needed, he's there. He's healing his team. He's initiating the fight. Even at that very last tidbit, after Gamma gets isolated, after the rest of the Winter Dogs run off on their own, we see the immediate turn onto Aquarius off the pluck. Where does Relentless One go? He zones all the carries. He says, all right, I know it's going to take my team a little bit to kill this Sobek, but I trust that they can do it. So I'm just going to buy as much space and time as I can, and does exactly that. Now 9-1, 17.5 minutes into this game, and Sturdy Artisans, I would say, were already favored in the late game thanks to their composition. Now coming in with a experience and gold lead, you're feeling pretty good about that.
Moswell, we had mentioned, an accomplished mid laner, 3-0-4 so far this game. 7 of the 9 effective kills. Same 7 of the effective kills, 4-0-3 for Griff, who has had I would argue, a pretty damn good year. Even last year was looking really, really solid. But it is Pagon, the one that I had thrown a bunch of question marks around, where it's just like, okay, cool, you're in the jungle now all of a sudden. I'm used to seeing you in mid. What's going to happen? How are you going to make this work? He's 2-0-5. He's doing just fine in terms of setup. There's even been a couple of these fights where it feels like, man, get out of there. You're almost dead. And he's still able to help turn the fight around in favor of his team with 1/3 or less HP. Now they're picking up the Pyromancer for Sturdy Artisans. They will be able to secure that one. Kiermi, Gamma, Aquarius kind of showing face nearby, but aren't able to get anything out of this one. Fire Giant, the last neutral objective standing on the map.
Man, look at this disparity in builds, Gore. Griff has got a full Silver Branch over Wowie. We're talking like an entire item in mid just about for Moswell as well. It's a tough one now for the Winter Dogs to find their comeback mechanics, and I think it's got to be off this front line engage. Kiermi needs to start getting some multi-man taunts to set up from damage for BenEQ. If Gamma is able to just stick around with his team, he's been isolated in the last 3 team fights. Just stick close to one of your carries, utilize that wall to separate the engagements, artificially manufacture 4v1s inside of jungle fights when you can lock down these entire jungle lanes. I think that could be one way for the Winter Dogs to work their way back in. It's only about a 3,000 gold deficit. It's not the end of the world just yet, but we are starting to approach the point now where the Winter Dogs can no longer allow the Sturdy Artisans to take small objectives. I don't care if it's a Pyromancer or a Tier 1 tower. The Winter Dogs don't want to fall much further behind than this.
Yeah, just shy of 20 minutes now. 3,000 gold lead for Sturdy Artisans. You had said team fight diff 9-1. They have gotten 8 more kills, and that one was way, way, way back when in the fight for first blood, and even still, they weren't able to grasp the first blood. They lost it on the side of Winter Dogs. So a good gold lead, good fights from Sturdy Artisans. But map state, Mifflin, I mean, well, up until this point, all of the towers were still standing. Finally, someone's going to be able to knock one down. Griff takes the left-hand tier 1. The right-hand tier 1 for the Winter Dogs also looks low, and now it's maybe going to be a Onyx health bar who actually gets eviscerated there in the middle of the fight. He goes for the engagement. He's the one who ends up falling. Relentless One forced to use the ult for the retreat. The healing is going to keep them alive and in this fight, but they are not looking happy about trying to defend this tier 1.
That chain CC from the Winter Dogs was ridiculous, man. Fields of Love, the Ymir freeze, the knock up from Kiermi, even the slight knock or pull in rather from BenEQ's arcane stance, all results in a moment where Ionic is not able to use Scarab's Blessing. It's always a feels bad, man, when you have to use it on yourself. Very often Khepri players are hesitant to do so, but it was just Ionic taking damage there. I just got to think that he wasn't allowed to put that input in. Stuck in the air, loses his life.
Couldn't react. You with Morgan Le Fay, you'll say unreactable CC. That's
I'll
what
say it a lot, too.
A team-wide unreactable CC looks like when you just get comboed to death. And of course, unfortunately for Ionic, that means he is now number 2 on the board for Winter Dogs. He's also only both of the deaths, but admittedly, that's kind of where you'd want them to go. Your support, who is a level ahead, who's doing pretty well and has great setup, yeah, he's just fine dying a second time here, especially because, as you had highlighted, they burn a lot just to get that single kill.
And they don't really get much off of it. It was just the kill. It wasn't a tier 1 tower. They didn't get a neutral objective. Pyro and Oni Fury are on the respawn very soon, but we're not available for the Winter Dogs, so all they get is one pick onto the support, as you already highlighted, who already had a level lead. So now the Sturdy Artisans can regroup and try again.
Well, they're going to try to turn it into 2 picks onto the support because Ionic is down one more time. This time he gets the Scarab's Blessing. He's at half health, and guess what? One more hit will do it. Wowie. Credit for the kill. Kiermi gets some healing off that taunt. The snipes come through. Moswell takes it away right before Griff is able to seal the deal and get the kill. So Aquarius, now the one who's maybe going to fall. That's Aquarius. Kiermi taken down, but Wowie showing up, a triple kill. All of a sudden, he gets Pagon. He gets this one. He's looking for a 4th. He gets the quadra kill. Moswell is the last man standing, and he is just around the corner. Not gonna be enough. Wowie gets the quadra. Not so hungry that he dives too deep. They're gonna turn their eyes rise towards the FG.
Yeah, they were just allowed to free cast that Winter Dogs backline. BennyQ and Wowie had nobody looking at them. The Sturdy Artisans were very content with going for the front line of the Winter Dogs, and they find a couple of kills and now find themselves in a position to defend the Fire Giant.
Oh, Moswell maybe made a mistake. Gamma maybe made a mistake. What are you trying to do there? No shards of ice. Moswell walks up and kills the support burn from BennyQ onto Moswell. It's good to get him out of there, but not good enough to keep them alive.
Oh,
Giant kills off Wowie as well. BennyQ might be able to pick this one up the tail end, but no, look at Ionic. Okay, not going to be able to walk in and steal it. Winter Dogs secure it, but at what cost? Only 2 members get it. Aquarius 1 second from spawning right before they clean that up. Now BennyQ may be caught out, stopped by Ionic. Ionic isolated between 2. He's looking for death number 4. Couple more hits, a taunt even used by Kirby. They'll put him down, they burn his beads. What a wild fight.
Yeah, that is the duality of Wowie. A quadra kill straight into dying to the Fire Giant. Unfortunate situation, and the Winter Dogs only get to put that fire around 2 belts. Kirby and BennyQ are going to benefit from that buff, but maybe not enough to look for the siege.
Oh, Sturdy Artisans able to secure the Oni Fury. Aquarius was there in the lurking in the waters. He pops it just a hair too late to try and help with that one, or steal that one. And so, Sturdy Artisans still a little bit ahead, about 1,000 gold, 2 members with Fire Giant on the other side. This feels more or less like a stalemate at 24 minutes in.
It is a dead even match. Experience and gold at this point, negligible differences between these 2 teams. It's all about the map state, and when you're evaluating the map state, it's not really all about the towers.
5 towers to 4 towers.
5 towers to 4 towers, but 2 Fire Giants to no Fire Giants, and maybe a couple items to in favor of the Sturdy Artisans at this point. But outside of that, it is completely dead even. I'm very excited to see which one of these teams try to get aggressive, and it's Pagon in first.
Well, he's going for BennyQ. That's one of the 2 Fire Giants, but Pagon, you're taking too many power shots, man! It's gonna follow you through the leap. BennyQ will fall? Maybe not. A good amount of healing comes his way. Relentless One still going for the dive, but a good flicker gets him out of there. Ionic forced to use his ult to keep himself alive, and he's gonna go right back. Alternate timeline is what helps BennyQ this time around. Ionic is going to be the one who ends up falling for their troubles. A 2 for 0, and now the Winter Dogs with a brilliant wall lockdown. Relentless One continue the kill. A double kill for Wowie, and they might look for more. Moswell forced to turn tail and run. Same thing for Griff as they watch this team run through.
Let that be a lesson, Gore. I mean, look at the builds, man. Look at the builds before you decide to commit to these dives, right? I mean, Pagon goes in, finds the knockout on a BennyQ, and immediately that revive comes through. Pagon essentially full kills himself to a tower, baits Relentless One and Ionic between the towers, the tier 1 and 2 of mid of Winter Dogs, and that's not a fight you're going to win. The Winter Dogs were dead even, as we had just highlighted, except for the 2 Fire Giants that they have around their belts. Tough stuff, man. I think that Pagon legitimately just sees BennyQ alone, thinks to himself, all right, it's one of the 2 targets that has Fire Giant. Maybe I just strip that away for the one time. Doesn't work out.
Nope, did not work out. 300 seconds left for that alternate timeline. I think maybe one of the first ones that I've actually seen not used by a player jumping into the enemy fountain. And right now, used is the way I would describe Aquarius' health bar. Gets knocked down instantly under the tier 2. They're trying to get aggressive on the side of Winter Dogs, and they're going to go forward. Gets the beads out of Ionic one more time with the pluck. Aquarius is incredibly low. Griff dashes forward with it, and he's almost able to get the kill. Snipes, not going to connect on 1. Connects on number 2. Number 3 isn't going to matter. Gamma's incredibly low as well, but Pagon gets taunted in. Pagon gets burned down by Wowie. They still lose Gamma. It's the 3 carries less standing. Wowie barely any health to fight with, and he's going to turn through the fields of love. There's the res from Ionic to make sure that Griff stays alive, but not for long. Wowie is able to pick up another one. Ionic's low, Kirmi's here, and Kirmi and Benny are going to be enough to get at least one more kill. The 2v2 continues. They're going to go on a tear and take down Moswell. Relentless One, the last man standing for Sturdy Artisans. He's going to be able to get one more kill. BennyQ will be the last man standing. 9 players dead, a triple for Benny, and a world to work with.
The Sturdy Artisans have got beef with the front line of the Winter Dogs, man. I mean, they are just so content. All right, Gamma's standing in front of me. Aquarius is standing in front of me. Kirmi's here. Let's go on them. I'm not worried about Wowie. I don't care about Benny. They only look at these tanky targets on the Winter Dogs, and somehow, despite all of that, are able to clean up 4 kills inside of it. Winter Dogs, with the backing of BennyQ free casting for an entire team fight at the end of that, ends at, what, 90% HP? Maybe gets hit by
yes,
the cleave.
He was
from
fine.
Guan Yu. Yeah, he was fine. I think that that's a fight that the Winter Dogs should likely win a little bit more handily. It was the sturdy Artisans on the chase the entire time. Much harder to be the aggressor in a lane chase fight like that. Somehow able to take 4 targets down, going tank first. I mean, it's nuts, the decision-making that we're seeing here, and it results in essentially a net wash, a 5 for 4 in favor of Winter Dogs, BennyQ being the sole remaining member of this team. But gold now starting to separate in favor of the Chaos team. Towers starting to knock down as well. If the Winter Dogs win out on a team fight cleanly in the near future, their win condition is exposed. That mid Phoenix is available and ready to be taken down. And Fire Giant worked out all right for the Winter Dogs last time around, and it's already them grouping up yet again, forcing the sturdy Artisans to make a decision.
And Primal Fury going to spawn soon on the left-hand side. I mentioned that only because Pagon is in that area, forced to back right now if they want to get aggressive. It's a 4v5. Good wall. Khepri has a large hitbox, but it's not going to be enough to make sure he gets stuck by that one. Gamma eats a little bit of trouble. Shards of Ice used in a kind of nothing fashion. Granted, I think in most of these fights, Shards of Ice, the least important ult that you can have on the side of the Winter Dogs. So not a big deal for that to be gone.
Yeah, he uses it just for the CC immunity to avoid the pluck from Ionic, so it saves his life, but loses out on some secure.
Well, now Ionic gets maybe too aggressive. Good wall that time forces him to fall back. A stun comes out from Wowie's Heart Bomb, but it's Pagon once again jumping forward, maybe too far, eats half his health for his troubles, and they're looking for the damage. Kirmi on the side, trying to find his way into the targets. Gets the taunt onto Pagon, but not able to find the kill. A good pluck onto Pagon, but there is that res from Khepri. The Scarab's Blessing brings him right back, but they kill Griff and Relentless One in the meantime. You're able to save one of your teammates, but not everyone. Now Moswall forced under the tier 2. Kirmi can't chase. Aqua as well, incredibly low, but they're going to be going under the Phoenix. A great wall from Gamma, good freeze, but a better beads on the other side. It only saves you for so long. BennyQ chases down Ionic on the other side. Pagon is standing on the other side of the door, and that is about all they have. Pagon versus the world as Winter Dogs look to take down this Phoenix and go for the win.
Man, Gamma, we said it early on, wakes up in the late game. He separates that fight 3 separate times with his walls and immediately creates scenarios where they just win out in the fight.
All right, Pagon, show me what you got. What can you do here? Kirmi already low. Can you at least get 1 kill out of this? No, the CC's looking too good. They get the deicide. They get the win. Winter Dogs from a 9-1, 3,000 gold, a kill deficit, a gold deficit, fight back and win the game.
Congratulations to the Winter Dogs, man. It was team fight diff in the early game in favor of the sturdy Artisans, and then like a cold switch at the 15 to 17 minute mark. The Winter Dogs say, I mean, aren't we like a really sick team? Aren't we really good at team fighting? And I guess they just decided that they were good at it and started to play like that as well, because they didn't lose a team fight post 17 minutes a single time.
I mean, we had said it earlier where it's like, man, you know, Gamma hasn't been doing a whole ton. Well, his late game's really sick normally, so maybe we should just wait for that. Hey, guess what? We waited for that. The Winter Dogs are able to find themselves a win. We'll break this game down and move to game number 2 right after this quick break.
The cereal kids are crazy for, Cthulhu. Start your morning madness with a bowl of morning happiness.
Cthulhu sale is ongoing now. You will take part. Save up to 33% off gem bundles. You will take part.
Crazy crispity, crazy crunchity, crazy
Select chests up to 50% off. You will take part. Boosters, avatars, wards, and more up to 50% off. You will take part. Party up with up to 3 times favor. Worshippers and XP. You will take part. This is your duty.
Crazy Cthulhu-y. Cthulhu. Surgeon General's warning, Cthulhu's are not of this world and should not be ingested by children or adults over the age of 80. Gems are not included as a prize because Cthulhu's are not real. Reality is meaningless, time is a construct. Abandon all hope when you ingest Cthulhu's. Use as directed, part of balanced breakfast. For the crispity, crunchity, crazy crunch, get cuckoo with Cthulhu.
You will take part.
Of a balanced breakfast.
Can we take a commercial break?
Right, go get your gyms starting today. A gym sale August 20th. That's going to be going on to September 6th. So you've got some time to be able to get everything through. And look, you know what? I happen to know when my paychecks hit, and I know that one of them happens to be right in the middle of when this gym sale is going on.
Woo!
Starts today.
Lucky you.
So if you've been looking for some good skins or an opportunity to buy those gems to potentially unlock some gods, if you don't have the god pack, which if you don't have the god pack, come on.
The
what are
best
you
deal
doing?
in all of
First off,
gaming.
Literally too good. I genuinely think we
It's
should
like
stop it.
$6 half the time.
It is too good, and honestly, we could look. We could make so much money, man.
It's 7 years or 8 years now of content that you get.
I bought
all of it.
I bought it when there were like 25, 24, 23, something like that gods in the game, and there's 115, 116 now. Like,
I paid
I've gotten everyone for
$30.
free. Yeah, I paid $30.
I paid $30 for mine.
In 2013, I bought $30 worth, thinking, "Hey, this will be fun for the next year." And look at us now.
Look at us now.
Anyway, if you don't have the that was a side rant. I guess buy the God Pack, but also gym
Yeah, do
sale.
we have an
is
ad for that?
Gym sale is going on, as well as a free excuse to eat Cthulhu. Look, my favorite thing is out of that commercial. If you're 81, good to go. They said anyone under the age of 80, so sick. If you're, go tell your grandparents, get some Cthulhu.
Wait, under the age of 80.
Yeah.
So
So if
81,
you're 81
don't eat it.
No, they said don't eat it if you're a child or adult under the age of 80.
Oh, okay.
So if you're 81,
okay.
you're good to go. There was another thing that completely escaped me because I had to explain that part.
I was looking at
Oh,
Dave the
yeah,
whole
time is a loop and, everything is meaningless. I agree with that because we're all going to die. Might
Did
as
they
well
say
be nice.
that?
Yes, it did say that.
That
It was
is
at the bottom.
dark.
It was in the what's it called? I have a shirt that says we're all going to die, be kind or something like that. I love that shirt.
Don't we have an SCC game to break down?
Right, that's right. Sturdy Artisans and Winter Dogs. Thanks for getting me back on track, man. They played a game there, and we watched it. We casted it. We said some words about it. Winter Dogs were able to win. Wowie got a quadra kill and then died to the fire giant. There's some fun things that happen. We all have fun here. Benny Q was the last man standing in one of those engagements. There's a lot to highlight here, and I think the important one is that the Sturdy Artisans were up 3,000 gold, 9 kills to 1 before we really saw the turnaround.
And I would argue Sturdy Artisans had the superior late-game composition. I mean, Baba Yaga scales incredibly well. Relentless One brings healing to your team. The engagement is incredibly strong. But the Winter Dogs, or maybe specifically Gamma, wakes up at like exactly this point of the game and separates every single engagement. I mean, it was Ymir diff and Wowie dropping quadros. That's exactly what turns this match around. And maybe some questionable decision-making right here from Pagon. Just walking into the tower alone.
I'm walking in.
Yeah, I'm walking in. Die into the tower alone, and then alternate timeline gets our boy out.
Yes, the only way I can describe it is the gif of Henry Cavill when he like reloads his arms.
Who is that? I don't even know who that is.
He plays Superman.
No.
Henry Cavill.
Clark Kent?
Yeah, well, he plays him too. He's the Witcher.
Oh, he's the... Okay, you could have said... Yeah, the Witcher. All right.
I'm sorry.
Whoa,
I
we're
went
doing
to,
SCC,
I went
man!
to the most noticeable. But that's what that alternate timeline play reminds me of. Is there was a movie, I can't remember which movie it was, where he just like reloads his arms, like punk, punk, and
Like-
it gets
like
back in there. And
Jax.
that was what Benny Q did to turn around that fight and continue going. He also does 26,000 damage. Just behind him was 24,000, top 2 damage in the game for Benny Q and Wowie.
And, well, it wasn't too far behind for Mazwada mid, 22,000 on the other side. I want to see some shift
We're
ups
hanging out all day, dude.
in the P's and P's, man. We got to cast SPL later. We got to
It's going to be this energy. I'm either going to be really serious or real this. Maybe a little bit of both. I feel like I'm bringing both.
All right, yeah, a nice mix, keep people guessing, like a spring mix.
Hit you with the curveball.
Yeah. Okay. You pull up the P's and B's.
Yeah,
production.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to being over there. I haven't driven the show for a little while. Yeah, we're going to pick some bands. Game number 2.
Oh, you do it when he says it? This guy's
The power, Mifflin.
Jesus.
Anyway, Sturdy Artisan's going to be team number 1. Our first pick once again. They're going to ban out the Odin another time.
We're bringing it soft now.
Yeah, now we're going to be talking like Bob Ross for a little bit. I promise you, I did nothing different this morning. I woke up.
It's like 10 a.m. We got here at like
Mifflin, it's almost
9:30.
noon. Dude,
It's been a long set.
You got
It's been a long set. Tiamat banned out.
the
Odin
ping pong thing.
banned
We
out
played
by the
5 games of
Artisans.
ping pong before this. Maybe that's why you're wary.
Maybe. Look, the bands are staying largely the same here, Gormizer. I mean, Odin and Artemis are moved by the Artisans. Winter Dogs taking out Tiamat and Kamazats yet again, so maybe we don't see too many distinct shifts in the bands and more so in the picks themselves.
Well, they've made a shift here. Ymir is going to get banned
Good
away.
choice.
Sturdy Artisans kind of recognized, man, that kind of rocked our world towards the late game. That was a last pick Ymir, if I remember correctly, as well. So going from number 10, technically number 20 on the gods list, all the way up to number 5 on the list total. And they scoop away the Sobek to try and limit Aquarius. I'm going to be honest with you, the last three games for Winter Dogs that I remember, they've played the Sobek, so this is going to be a pivot for Aquarius in the solo lane.
Yeah, now he's going to have to be playing maybe the... Oh, God. What's available on inside of his God pool could go towards some of those warriors that we've seen from him in the past. Maybe if he wants to keep being saucy. I mean, Aquarius likes mages in solo. I mean, I've been seeing a couple Hells and Aphrodites roll through in the SPL. Wouldn't be too surprised if we see something along those lines. But instead, the Winter Dogs are going to go ahead and prioritize their mid laner, Merlin, locked in.
That's, yeah, Merlin. Merlin gets locked in alongside his Yamocha. I don't know what it is. You also, that face you made at me made me giggle a little too hard. They get the Merlin back for Benny Q. Of course, I've
Yamoja.
seen him play maybe more the Merlin than pretty much anything else. Yamoja, as you had highlighted, gets through this time and is scooped up. You had asked for the Hell, and that's locked in alongside the Sobek, so maybe it could still be Hell solo. Sobek support.
Yeah, Sturdy Artisans last game went for a late game team fight composition. Unfortunately, we're not able to execute on it, and this time around do get themselves again a pretty good late game composition just by merit of having Hell on your team. You've got a ticking time bomb. She's going to bring a ton of sustain. She has great CC immunity if you're able to play in the back line, essentially giving your team additional beads. It's a speed boost on the third ability. I mean, this god just brings so much utility and damage to your team inside of the late game, and if it is going to the solo lane, does have that flex potential. Maybe you go for a Bruiser. She's not terrible as backline disruption just because she's so hard to lock down, so slippery. Not to mention, haven't even highlighted the Sobek Awilish combo. That's tried and true. You don't have to get the pluck to set up for the Gravity Surge. You can just blink in, press 2, tail whip, Gravity Surge whoever you want.
And honestly, you don't need any of that for it because they've got Riptide on the other side. Awilish works real
Yikes.
well into Yamoja. Good luck getting away from me. I'm going to pull you back in. They do get the Danza Burrow this time, presumably for Wowie, as they're going to lock it in. And Mifflin, if I see myself correctly, there's a Guan Yu ban, and the Winter Dogs even went for a pass ban, not banning a, I guess, 10th god based on where Artisans are going to ban the Nemesis and the Erlong Shen, leaving things a little more open for them.
I had no clue we even had a pass ban graphic. Like,
Yeah.
that might be one of the first times I've seen it, and I've been casting for like what, 2 years now. They
don't happen often.
Yeah, I can't think of the merit of it. Legitimately, maybe you're just fishing for whatever
yeah.
you want, I suppose. But there's got to be something you would have liked to limit from the other side. Maybe Mulan. Not exactly that. Not something I would have banned. So maybe this pass ban makes a little bit more sense. Mulan is a god that has largely gone by the wayside since her release as far as competitive is concerned. She's just very hard to execute on, as the majority of her abilities kind of leave her stationary.
Well, both Mulan and Hu Yi have not yet been played this phase for the SCC, so a couple of wild cards in there, but if you match it up, you've got a Sobek, you've got a Hell. Granted, this now leans towards Hell mid, in my eyes. A Wheelish is going to be jungle. That has to exist in that
Has to be true.
that area. Mulan has technically, I think actually in the SBL, was played more as support
I think Neil
than
played
she
it.
was in solo. Rong Yu as well.
Yep.
Like to pick that up. And so there is some flexibility there, but it keeps things on their toes here for Sturdy Artisans. How does, for the late game team comp you had highlighted for Artisans, how did the Mulan and the Hu Yi fit into that in game number 2?
Well, Ho Yi's going to have a pretty good target inside of Cthulhu, right? I mean, Mark of the Golden Crow on a giant, just descending into madness pillar of CC, just slam a tower, a construct if you would. He's so large, means that You're going to get a lot of value from that stim. That said, Hou-Yi is generally pretty hard to execute on. Mulan has been a god that has been a little bit weaker in competitive play. I mean, I've got the chance to speak with Kabam a couple times, and we know Sam for Soccer likes to occasionally go towards this Mulan, and that's much to the chagrin of Kabam, the coach of the Jade Dragons.
Yeah, they don't particularly like it, and also it hadn't worked for
Sam
them the one
likes it,
time
though.
they did it. Yeah, Sam liked it. Sam lost with it. I don't think Sam's going to get to play it again for a little while. Relentless One is going to be playing this here Mulan this time around up against the Cthulhu. Perfect time for the Cthulhoops. Remember, hey, get that gym sale August 20th. That's today.
And buy the God
to
Pack.
September 6th. Buy the God Pack. Look, for me and for our benefit, at full price, but it does go on sale for
I'm not
cheaper.
sure what full price even is anymore. Like
I'm
10
pretty
bucks
sure it's
maybe?
still 30.
I don't think so.
I just think it goes on sale for very cheap.
Okay. All right. I feel like I haven't seen it at $30 in like
Got
6
laptops
months.
In front of us. Can't I just go to like?
Well, no, we're doing the game right now. Gore Ionic's trying to take
Yeah,
over to level
you're doing
2
the
and
game.
does so. Maybe looks for a pluck here. Gamma could lose out on his beads instead. Ionic a little bit too low HP. Doesn't feel confident enough to step up forward here. And when we're evaluating late game, which I think we have to after the pace of game 1, both teams have a good deal of sustain. I think I might favor the winner dogs.
Well, right now it's Pagon versus the World, and the World wins. Kirmi gets the first blood for this one. Benny Q looking for some turnaround damage. Moswell, look your hell. You've got some good damage early on, but you don't got the mana to follow it up. Kirmi not going to get aggressive into Moswell's minions. And in this way, they're going to get the first blood. They're going to get out.
Yeah, Moswell playing Hell in mid is fun to see because we don't often see her play to mid unless it's Paul playing it. She's pretty mana hungry, doesn't have the ability to just spam out like we see when Variety plays it. Instead, kind of has to work around the wave, has to utilize the majority of that mana just to clear waves. So Moswell's going to have to play a much more subdued style early on. Luckily, though, Sands of Time does afford you a good deal of MP5.
Well, subdued style, you'd think Pagon would want to go for that after getting first blood. It immediately runs towards the opposition's
Goodness.
jungle, goes
Oh
for a
my
knockup,
God.
gets it, and kills off Benny Q. Who cares about playing subdued? Get aggressive, get in there. That's the motto of the Sturdy Artisans. They're going to do it again in the duo lane, pluck onto Gamma. Probably not going to result in a kill, but it showcases that their mindset is all about the win.
Man, just let that be a lesson that Hell is a god that you need to shut down early, but it's not easy to do. That was like 80% of Benecu's HP bar. Just 1 in the dark stance, 3 in the dark stance, switch to the light stance that does damage to enemy gods since like Season 6. And it just does so much damage. Benecu also pulling off the late beads. Unfortunate.
Pagon around the corner, speed
No
bump.
way.
He takes it
Fucks
away and runs off with it. Kirmi has no mana. You can't do anything about this. The jungler getting a little disrespectful after his loss.
And now looking towards the blue buff as well. Kirmi heads back to base after losing his speed, and Aquarius, well, that's your problem now. Pagon strips that one away, and he's got so much farm on this side of the map. He was like, what, about a level down, and he still is, but not for much longer if he clears out literally every buff on the right-hand side.
Say, gets first blooded, turns it around, gets a blue buff for his solo laner, strips a blue buff away, gets an extra speed buff for funsies, has 2, 3 technically experience camps he could grab. Yeah, there's a lot to really give Pagon the boost necessary to get right back. Not even, he wasn't even out of the game, but right back into it, I guess is the way I'll word it. And maybe a little more pressure onto Kirmi to start showing up. Granted, 100% anti-heal on that ult, level 4 as of right now, might be helpful against Moswell.
It could be, and well, early game, it's just the damage output, really. Moswell doesn't have the most sustain. Maybe it's more so about the cleanse and the speed boost you get from the heal than it is really about the sustain at this portion of the game. But either way, Sir Ket clears buffs very fast, clears the jungle incredibly quickly, has great mobility, is going to have a very easy time closing gap onto Moswell, Relentless One, even Griff is going to have to play cautiously when Kirmi's around. I want to see Kirmi get involved very soon, and well, he's level 5, now's the time.
Well, Ionic might be the one in trouble. That seems to be the way things go for the support on the side of the Sturdy Artisans. Gets pulled right back into the fight. Ionic is going to end up falling down. Poison goes to the minions, but does not spread onto Griff. Pagon is over
Griff?
here. Gamma, I should say, has no Omi, but the River's Rebuke is going to get dropped. Pagon's on the other side. Griff jumps to the other side as well. Pagon able to secure that kill. They go 1 for 1.
Yeah, that seemed like the Winter Dogs were just fine with how that fight went. They were happy with finding their one-man pick, and Gamma was the sole member who said, guys, we can keep going, you know, we can keep fighting. I've got sustain. We can stick around, and, well, you got to follow the call. If you're the only one sticking around, well, it's probably not a great fight. Gamma isolates himself, and then gets caught out. But this is almost reminiscent of Game 1. Gamma generally does struggle at this facet of the game. It's more so towards that mid to late where he really starts to hit his stride. So, with a level lead already, level 5 to Yannick's level 4, I think I'm just fine with Gamma.
Well, hey, Pagon, again, doesn't get the
Is this
cue
allowed?
about being I guess he's, yeah, this is almost cyberbullying. If he had got that kill, I think I would have given the credit over to it, but he does not quite kill off Benny Q. And doesn't force the beads either. Benny Q is low and uncomfortable, but not dead and still able to survive something. Relentless One is on the receiving end of a Cthulhu ult. Not often we get to see those in a not team fight. I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a Cthulhu ult in lane, and I really can't.
Yeah, if you use your Descent into Madness in lane, it's just, hey, please go back to base, or like to your tower at least. Just, you can't fight me for the next couple of seconds, and that's exactly what happens. Relentless One on this Mulan has a good deal of sustain built into the kit, so all that poke that Aquarius worked for there, and at the expense of his ultimate, is immediately lost. That kill potential goes a lot down inside the lane, so Kirmi isn't going to really feel like ganking for a little while, and even with the pressure that Aquarius got, forcing Relentless One back into his tower, back towards the jungle, doesn't even get the Totem Aku. That goes the way of the Sturdy Artisans as well.
Now they're finding themselves, well, in a position where I was thinking things were going to come out as mainly net neutral. Pagon has been out for blood since his death. He had one small turn and has been constantly on the onslaught for stripping away experience or stripping away health bars, depending on what he can get. Walks onto a ward right here. Relentless One just on the other side, so shouldn't be spotted by that, but they can see the grouping. And Winter Dogs kind of react to that with 3. Pagon's just kind of running around in the jungle at this point. Maybe losing on some of that farm, but he's now a level up on Kirmi.
Yeah, he's just waiting to see if maybe he can strip away something in the jungle, and instead finds himself surrounded by 3.
Yeah.
Kirmi is going to go for the chase here, but Pagon should be able to get out, right?
The stun, the Riptide, so well placed, but there's the leap. They don't have the follow-up.
Is he going to steal the
He's going to
speed?
be able to go forward with it. I mean, hey, he could have, no, he doesn't have anything to get maybe the sustain necessary. He runs to the Phoenix. No one touched him, and I believe an assist goes the way of Kirmi there, but that's all he's going to get.
Tough situation for Pagon, who I think was there just to try and steal maybe the speed buff, maybe the back camps if someone steps too far forward, and instead loses his life.
Oswald stunned out. River's Rebuke clashes in onto him. The damage is good from Benny Q, but not good enough to get the kill. Gamma trying to chase it down. Gets the stun. One more hit.
Whoa.
He's going to be able to get it. The Emoja, of all people, chases down the hell and gets the kill.
Man, Maswell's got to be feeling himself right there. Like, all right, I made it out. Benny's no longer around. We tail whip the fire stance. No more damage coming my way. And then, well, Gamma's just good, I guess. I mean, he lands the stun. A couple of auto attacks confirms the kill. But meanwhile, the other end, Griff has been getting the better end of Wowie inside of these engagements. Strips away the purple buff and, well, goes back and clears out his own farm. Should have closed up that XP gap that Wowie establishes himself with that early kill.
Not only that, but they are really showcasing what can happen, well, when you just spend a lot of time stripping experience away. And it had been a much larger gold lead earlier on. Now it's just under 1,000, yeah, hovering around that 700 mark. So it's keeping them on their toes. Sturdy Artisans have essentially just the first blood gold bounty sitting in their pockets. Pagon has not been slowing down. I mean, honestly, Pagon and Relentless One should change names. Pagon has been relentless this game. I mean, he is just not giving up the space. Even now, potentially in a position to go for a red buff steal. Benny Q might need to get over here. There's 3 members, actually all looking towards the left-hand side. Maybe for Wowie, maybe for a Scorpion. Either way, they're taking something.
And it is going to be the Scorpion looked at by the Sturdy Artisans, but this is a similar pace that we saw in Game 1. Sturdy Artisans with a strong late-game composition, pull ahead in the early, but it's the Winter Dogs who, in the late game, won out in the majority of the team fight. So can't say that one has a definitive lead just yet. It is only about 1,000 gold right now. I want to see the Sturdy Artisans start to force some objectives very soon, just because Maswell's starting to hit some pretty nice power spikes. Already has the Karen's coin built out, is immediately moving into tankiness, so it is a similar build to something maybe Variety would have gone for. That survivability is going to make it much harder for Kirmi to get value from his ultimate. Maybe it is more so just about the anti-heal at this point of the game. It could be that we see the Winter Dogs full commit.
Well, the full commit's coming from Winter Dogs right now. They lock down Relentless One. So much damage in the middle of nowhere. They're going to be able to burn him just under what is currently the Greater Scorpion Pit. on that right-hand side, and they're even going to pick that up just for the boost that it's going to be able to give as well. Some experience going their way. Griff looking once again to go for the purple buff invade on Wowie, but this time Wowie has mana and a little bit of health to work with, and also a support walking over there. But ignore that part. He's got mana, and that's what matters. You don't want to fight Wowie on equal ground.
Yeah, Griff spotted out Gamma on the rotation, just that ward inside of the Gold Fury pit, said, all right, I mean, if you're not going to respect the 1v1, I'm not going to look for the 1v1, and immediately walks away from that one. Unfortunate for Griff, he doesn't put enough threat on the map to force Gamma to complete that rotation, so while he does benefit from the solo farm onto the purple buff itself, but XP disparity starting to rear its head here in the long lane. It's level 11 for Griff, for Wowie's level 10 on the other side, and maybe a little bit of item disparity as well. Odysseus' bow finished up immediately by Wowie means that with Gold Fury being up, and if Griff doesn't work his way back to base very soon, team fight advantage going to be handily in favor of the Winter Dogs.
If I remember correctly, Griff was actually the one who got a kill because of the Odysseus' proc last game onto Wowie.
Yep.
So worked out pretty well for him. We'll see if Wowie is able to do the same here. And Gold Fury is hovering over there, 11 minutes into the game, and 4 times the amount of kills for Winter Dogs than they had in game number 1 at this point in the game. The gold is much closer. The Sturdy Artisans are not leading as heavily. I believe around this mark they were somewhere in the 4-1, 5-1 kill lead. And so the Winter Dogs able to stabilize very well and showcase some of their strengths. We talk a lot about this hell healing, but I think it is worth mentioning specifically what this Yamoja is going to bring to the table, because that is just as helpful, maybe not as much as a single hell heal, but you throw in a Lotus Crown, give a little bit of shielding, oh, it feels good.
Yeah, that bubble bounce heal incredibly strong, and you've got the heals from your auto attacks, which means it's legitimately just free real estate. Gamma doesn't have to commit anything to keep his teammates topped off, whereas every time Moswall uses his heals, well, it costs him a little bit of mana. Thought maybe we'd see Gamma and Moswall butt heads inside the jungle, but Gamma thinks better of it, realizing he's alone inside the jungle, does not step up into the red buff pit. Both teams now still largely sitting around even. Winter Dogs benefiting from the kill lead, but that's the only lead they have. It's not really a gold lead, and experience largely equalized as well. This first neutral objective should be the separation that we start to see in this game, and I'm expecting it to be this Gold Fury very soon. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
hey.
Whoa, okay.
Very, very soon. 1 second after you finished. Maybe before you finished. Overall, started up a good pull onto Gamma, but not going to be able to get the full pull thanks to the beads from Gamma. Now the walls go up. They're locking in Moswall, and they're looking for the isolation. There's going to be the Circetta, once again, beads going to be able to get you out of there, but a good bubble stun, or the Moonstrike, is going to help isolate it, but it's not enough to get Kirmi out alive, or for Kirmi to get the kill. Wowie picks up Eonic on the back end of Sturdy Artisans, but they're not able to turn around too much. Jungle for support, this is a good trade for the Sturdy Artisans.
And now BennyQ forced to use both beads and Aegis is caught out by Relentless One, who does land the ultimate knockups clean.
And continuing that onslaught, BennyQ, Gamma, half health, Wowie,
Aqua,
low, and Aquarius looking for more. Good knock up, good swipes. Pagon and Moswall are low, but they're not low enough. That healing is incredibly helpful. BennyQ rotates in, the burn damage is good. Wowie is able to help pick up that kill, but at what cost? They lose Gamma. Now it's Wowie, isolated, no mana, only the autos for his life. Not able to find that one. 3 versus 3. As they continue tearing through the Winter Dogs right now. Aquarius goes down, but Kirby's back! He's respawned and jumped right back into the engagement, helped pick up a kill, and I think we still end up in the exact same spot. The gold lead is virtually equal, and Winter Dogs are 2 kills ahead.
They are, and, well, desync death on Griff might rear its head. Aquarius respawns around the same time, actually, so Winter Dogs don't even have an advantage on the reset going towards this Gold Fury. That is a dead even engagement yet again, which starts off around this Gold Fury. We saw a great ultimate from Gamma to separate the engagement, but it was Kirmi who dives on a Moswall, tries to use that ultimate on Surcat to lock him down and finish off that kill. All he gets is beads and Aegis from Moswall, then immediately costs him his life. Respawns, comes back in, takes out the ADC Griff, who likely would have been able to win out on that team fight pretty cleanly had Kirmi not got there just in time, because BennyQ was completely and Aquarius had already used his ultimate. That said, though, net wash at the end of the day. Only, what, 100 gold separating these two teams? This is a nutty back-and-forth set.
Yeah, if anything, worse off for Winter Dogs, losing out on 3 beads, the Aegis as well for BinnyQ versus 2 Aegises, 1 beads. Well, I guess 2 beads technically on the other side. Relic count balances out, but it is the carries, as well as Gamma, who are going to be missing out on those maybe important, crucial relics, as guess where we're moving right back over to the Gold Fury pit. Oracle Harpies go the way of Sturdy Artisans, so some free vision. And they're going to start this one up. Wowie, Gamma, nearby, but seem none the wiser or just don't care at this point. Their team nowhere nearby, and that means that Sturdy Artisans are going to get themselves a Gold Fury for free.
There's no way they didn't care, right, Gore? I mean, the Winter Dogs just fought tooth and nail for their lives to defend the last Gold Fury, and then from a dead even state decide not to put up a defense on this one. I think it kind of just slips their mind a little bit. They didn't have vision on the objective itself. It was sentryed by Sturdy Artisans. Oracles were controlled as well, and maybe the Winter Dogs thought there was a brief moment they could have checked out something else.
Jeremy looking for a Pyromancer steal, gonna get the taunt onto Relentless One, almost plucked back, and Relentless One walks right back into the engagement, starts the Pyromancer up one more time. It's hovering at half health, but filling up pretty quickly. Most of the Artisans are over here now. They've got everyone save for Griff, so they're going to start the Pyromancer one more time. Aquarius goes in, Aquarius goes big, and Aquarius is looking for those knockups, those side swipes, the damage, and the setup we know Cthulhu can bring. Kirmi gets the ult and is going to toss Ionic back to the sharks of his team, and he barely gets out alive. Kirmi almost burned off, but Aquarius is the one who's going to be able to pick up the kill this time. Ionic dies first. Relentless One burned down as his team abandons him in the jungle. The carries get out, but they're looking at the Fire Giant.
Yeah, Sturdy Artisans force an engagement on the neutral objective and then don't rotate their ADC over. The Winter Dogs on defense do, and then win out on the team fight. Now look at the most important neutral objective on the map. Waswall, completely at this point, essentially. Cannot step up for the defense. Winter Dogs, 16.5 minutes into this one, off the back of one clean team fight win, pick themselves up the Fire Giant.
They lose a tier 1 and a tier 2 on left. Griff does something to get his team some gold in his pockets. But that is all they're going to have
Still
going for them. Yeah, I mean, you get the gold, yeah, ultimately dead even. But then you look at the map state, Myth, and while there's technically more towers on Sturdy Artisans, there's 5 members with Fire Giant. I feel like they're going to make that gold swing in their favor pretty quickly.
And you got to talk about how strong this Winter Dog siege is going to be as well. I mean, Cthulhu, we've seen what he does in the team fight. Well, it's a little bit easier when everyone's grouped up inside a small circle, which is a tower in front of you. I think Descent into Madness is going to be very hard to deal with for the Sturdy Artisans. Moswall in particular is very good at stopping one good form of CC, right? Like a Confound. Yeah, well, I'll just cleanse that. Maybe a stun from Guan Yu. I cleanse those too. You're going to cleanse 15 knockups from Cthulhu? I don't think so. At least 1, 2, 12 of them are going to hit you. It's very hard for a Hell to walk away from those situations, so it's more so about this Mulan and this Sobek to create space inside of the team fight. Have Pagon act as a solo agent and preferably work his way into the backline onto BennyQ, but I mean, the front line of the Winter Dogs is incredibly strong. Their Sustain is incredibly strong as well, not just because of the HP 5 from Fire Giant, but also because of the efforts of Yamoja. The work is cut out for the Sturdy Artisans here.
So it begins. Tier 1 tower on left taken down. Tier 2 and about half HP. The 3v3 seems like Sturdy Artisans are the ones that have the control, and they force back the Winter Dogs just a little bit. Kirmi's in mid, and BinnyQ's in the jungle. Ionic is isolated and surrounded right now. So many Riptides on the map, and yet none of them connecting on the players for the Sturdy Artisans. Great Rivers Rebuke, good walls, but it is going to be the suns dropping from above. Griff that helps peel away for his team. Now Kirmi maybe isolated. Pagon going to take some of that damage, but it's Kirmi who's getting hit maybe too hard this time around. Pagon able to find that kill. Wowie rotates in to help out his jungler.
And now it's Relentless One isolated in the back line with Aquarius acting as goaltender to keep him back. Relentless One falls. Ionic uses the pluck, immediately beads Doughton. Well, with a Sobek in front of all these members, you gotta think he's gonna fall down while he finds his second.
Gamma, no health, no Omi, but he's still making it work. BinnyQ leading the aggression, spearheading his team forward. They fall back. Wowie making the smart call, making sure to get rid of that tier 2, because this feels like a 19-minute left-hand Phoenix for the Winter Dogs. They can knock this one down and then go ahead and back out, respawning 6 seconds off of Pagon, and now Moswall Griff looking to get aggressive. Moswell, that might not be a good idea. Griff, that might not be a great idea where you're going. The stun, the Moonstrike, just off the mark from Gamma. He takes a little bit of hit. Moswell's looking for more. There's the slow. Benny Q looking for the peel. The burn is there, but are they just baiting you
forward?
out? Guess who's here? It's Pagon. He goes for the knock-up, gets the gravity surge. You're burned down, Benny Q. Next time, just get out of there.
I mean, what are you even fighting over at that point? You already have the Fire Giant. The Phoenix has already been taken down. Benny Q just says, all right, Moswell, you're not that guy.
It's about respect.
Yeah, you cannot walk
spit on my name?
I guess so, but flickering forward into what he saw was 3 members and what quickly became 4 members as someone joined from the jungle kind of results in 30 seconds of the grayscale screen. That said, Winter Dogs already won out so handily on the map, taking out Tier 1, Tier 2, and Phoenix on the left-hand side that I think it's okay. Benny Q falling down there isn't going to cost them too much. Maybe it just makes it a little bit harder for them to continue to siege into the remaining towers, and there's still 4 of them up for the Sturdy Artisans.
Well, Wowie still has the Fire Giant buff, albeit not for much longer. It's wearing thin on this team in 5 seconds, so maybe some Tier 1s could happen in the intermeeting time. The Sturdy Artisans could lose a couple of those. They're both sitting about half health. They're mid-Tier 1 and they're right Tier 1. I see a couple of pings on the map, I believe, from the Winter Dogs, showcasing potentially the game plan. They have minions pushing down right. Fire Giant spawns up in less than a minute. I think their eyes are on securing this objective cleanly one more time. But last time, Mifflin, they won a fight, a very big fight prior. This time they're going to have to potentially just fight over it.
Yeah, but they do have the added benefit of a Fire Minion wave working down the other side. Griff doing his best to keep that pushed up so that once they do rotate, the Sturdy Artisans that is, towards this Fire Giant on the defense, could make it a little bit easier for them, but Winter Dogs gonna keep the pressure up on the map. Yeah, who needs it? I mean, Griff's over in left lane. Who's gonna stop us here? Tier 1 falls down in mid. Tier 2 does the exact same thing, and no defense put up by the Sturdy Artisans.
Caught out as well, lurking in the waters, gives him that CC immunity, but burned down incredibly fast at 1/8 HP, and just able to escape the ticking nightmare that is Kiermi's ult. That healing going to be in handy here. Gamma gets pulled up. River's Rebuke isolates Relentless One, and then the zone from Aquarius comes through. He gets one onto Pagon. Relentless One falls down. Ionic is still alive, but again, what cost? Your support is able to continue moving forward. Moswell and Griff have become all too familiar watching a Phoenix fall while they have to run back to their fountain, and now the mid-Phoenix burned down as well.
Man, Ionic just baits his entire team there, puts him in such a poor position as he tries to rotate in aggressively through the lane. Can't just do that through 5 members of the Winter Dogs when they're already playing with so much confidence inside of the team fight instead. Just a poor situation. Maybe he's done it again.
Well, Ionic, yeah, stunned by Gamma. Gamma's taking a lot of damage in the process, too, but there's the leap from Griff, and immediately Kiermi recognizes where they need to get aggressive. Moswell, all it takes is a taunt, or a nice pull from Gamma, the Riptide, making sure to lock him down. 8, 1, and 5. If you've been wondering where these kills have been going, it's all on Wowie. 13 of the 17 affected kills. Maybe not enough to get the win here, although 40 seconds without Griff or Moswell, it smells like Fire Giant.
Yeah, it smells like barbecue, and, well, that's exactly where the Winter Dogs are going.
I bet the Fire Giant makes great barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he, like, just puts it on his sword?
Specifically out of Wowie from last game.
Okay, all right. Come on, leave Wowie alone. He's having
doing
a great
well.
game.
I had to bring him down a peg. Come on.
Yeah, okay. Don't get too big for your britches, Wowie. We all remember when you died to the PvE, bud. This time, couldn't possibly happen.
Yeah,
5
right
members.
after you got a quadra kill, you magnificent smite player.
It's all up to the defense now from the Sturdy Artisans, and Ionic cut out one more time on his own, could potentially fall down this time. The first time he's going to pay for his own sins, and it won't be his teammates. Pluck coming up very soon, but maybe not soon enough. Kiermi picks up that kill, and now the Sturdy Artisans going to have to play defense not only at Fire Giant disadvantage, but at support disadvantage. Ionic in the grayscale for the next 40 seconds.
That's a long time to be fighting a 4v5, especially when the 5 have an FG and have just knocked down your left-hand Phoenix for the second time. They might be able to get some pressure fire minions there in mid. They have done a great job on the side of Sturdy Artisans to make sure those fire minions on left are nothing to worry about. And it is going to be a call to fall back for a little bit here from Winter Dogs. They got 3 minutes to work with on this FG. maybe spending some of the gold. I don't know that they've got the reset since they knocked down all those towers.
No, it's been a little while. 3,300 in hand for Wowie, 2,600 for Gamma, so there's some pretty nice power spikes coming their way. 24 minutes in, Gamma's just sitting on 3 items, by the way. He's going to buy an entire one on this back, and it's pretty clear where the Winter Dogs can go and keep their pressure up because there's only one lane that has anything left to take. It's Tier 2 tower on the right-hand side, as well as that Phoenix, and Fireman Wave is going to be leaking through every single other lane for the Sturdy Artisans, so this defense is going to be a tough battle. I'm curious to see who they're going to allocate to keep these waves out, if they even do so, or maybe with all the pressure on the map as it stands, Sturdy Artisans might be in a position where they are forced to all in engage, make sure that they either win the team fight quickly and try and keep their base alive, or lose the team fight quickly and win the game at the same note.
So you had highlighted all of the gold that was just in hand. Benny Q gets a full Obsidian Shard, Silver Branch, and an upgraded starter there for Wowie. Once that ward thing disappears, you can see that started up a little bit of armor for Gamma, some Fizz Prots, I believe. Maybe Magic Prots? I can't remember off the top of my head where we are on that one. Either way, he also got his upgraded starter and a ton of wards for the team. Makes them all feel very happy as they can continue getting aggressive. 18-8. The Winter Dogs are 10 kills up, 6k gold, about to make it 8k, or close enough too, with the Tier 2 on right. And you had called it. There's only one Phoenix left standing currently until the mid respawns. And they're going to get aggressive on it.
And donde está the Sturdy Artisans? This is a slow grouping on the defense. I mean, the Phoenix already down, and Winter Dogs commit legitimately zero anything to it. No ultimates used, no relics either.
Well, Ionic, not necessarily as isolated this time, but half health. And that's going to be enough to force them to hover around the base. Soloed out! Kirmi just straight up takes on Pagon, finds the kill. That is just a mirror of the first blood, and now they're looking to run down the Titan. Moswell's low, forced into the fountain. Most of the Sturdy Artisans forced into the fountain. River's Rebuke separates them from the Titan, and that's all it takes to find the kill.
Easy game for the Winter Dogs here. They waited until they could utilize their team fight. Once Aquarius rotated out of Soul Lane, kind of felt like the final nail in the coffin, didn't it? There was no answer for this Cthulhu in these engagements. Every single time he used Descent into Madness, they won the team fight promptly afterward.
I mean, you had mentioned the Hu Yi having some potential there, and Griff didn't show up to most of the fights that it mattered. Unfortunately,
dude, he was absent.
My
man was truant.
He got a Tier 2 at one point while they were getting the FG. He was over on that left-hand side helping with those minions, but unfortunately, for the Sturdy Artisans, it leads to another Winter Dogs win. Congratulations on the Winter Dogs taking this set. We're going to break this one down as well as look at the rest of the week for the SCC right after this. Well, the Winter Dogs come out on top, as you can see behind us, gloriously finding themselves a 2-0 victory.
Oh, you're
And
right.
after a pretty hefty deficit there early on in game number 1. I mean, it was 9-1, 3,000 gold in favor of Sturdy Artisans. They fight back from that in game 1. In game 2, it doesn't take them anywhere near as long. They get started immediately picking up those kills, Mifflin.
They do. I mean, there was a little bit of fight back there in the early game from the Sturdy Artisans. In particular, Pagon, I think, was putting a lot of pressure on the map, but the Winter Dogs drafted for a late-game team fight composition thanks to the healing from Yamoja, the burn potential from Merlin on these neutral objectives, and we got to see that actually very early on in this game. I think it was like 6 minutes in where they did a 3-second Gold Fury or something along those lines just to keep it dead even for the longest. I mean, dead even match up until that 15-minute mark, it feels like, and that's where the separation really started to come through, and that's where that team fight presence really starts to rear its head. I mean, what do you do when you're stuck in a River's Rebuke and Cthulhu's descending into madness in your face? You probably just crumble.
F6?
That's what I'd do.
Can't do it here, but that's maybe what they were thinking. That was actually that last fight, the last highlights we saw, Griff on the left-hand side. That fight got a Fire Giant at 16 minutes, 16 and a half for Winter Dogs, which really started the end of the end for the Sturdy Artisans. A great solo kill there at the very end as well from Kirmi onto Pagon. And unfortunately, like, Pagon stacked up those deaths. Pagon was running at them, holding W.
He was
Gets
doing
first
it.
blooded, steals a speed buff that game, steals half the jungle, constantly getting aggressive. But you can only get aggressive so much without getting killed off. 9,000 damage, 1,000 damage difference between him and Kirmi. And once again, this one admittedly feels a lot like Wowie. Wowie's getting a lot of good last hits with a lot of good kills and a lot of good presence in-game.
Yeah, Wowie was making it happen for his team inside of the team fights. Not only was he doing pretty well in lane, but he also just kind of rotated to more fights than Griff did. I mean, Fire Giant engagement goes their way because Wowie's there and Griff is pushing some towers. I mean, Gold Fury fights go their way because Wowie's there and Griff dead. He was just more present inside of this match. I do want to point out Eonic, though, has a uncharacteristic performance in this one. Just a couple of engagements where he walks in, gets caught out, and costs his team the fight.
Well, Sturdy Artisans dropped down technically to 4th as of right now. The first match of an SCC this week. Sturdy Artisans are 1-2. The Winter Dogs get to hold on to that crown for a little bit at 3-0. Herculean Hooves will have the opportunity to try and match them. Guess what? Sunday morning when they take on Sleekness, the second match for North America. That'll be in a couple of days. And later on, after the SPL, same day, you'll be able to watch the Tiburones de Tijuana take on Average Joes. Tomorrow, it's going to be Pandemonium and Joystick. Again, a match I think is very important just because of the fact that Joystick, Cherio's new team, and admittedly, last time we watched them, weren't talking a whole lot about Cherio. It was everybody around him. Pandemonium, a team that was known to give Elysium a little bit of trouble there in Europe. So, a lot of interesting SCCs still going on, but Mifflin, before we get there, naturally, the only hard pivot I could make, we've got the Smite Pro League.
What?
I know.
Still?
Going on today.
No.
Not only today, not just one set, Mifflin.
More than
There's
one?
going to be 2 whole
Oh my
sets.
God.
And that's not even going to get us. That'll get us halfway through the week.
There's
of
a
week
whole
7.
half left?
Yeah, see, it's Camelot Kings and the Valhalla Valkyries taking each other on at 1 p.m. Then the Dragons and the Warriors taking each other
that's
on
us.
when that sets. We'll be casting that one. I'll be desking the first one. I got to think of some nice things to say about the Valkyries. I'm going to use this break time to do that. We'll be right back with the SBL, so get your snacks. Stay tuned. We'll see you then.